Hey everybody, it is Wednesday. I hope that your Wednesday is everything that you want it to be and then some. And I know this is Bible study night for a lot of you all, but hey, come on, join me, listen for a while. I promise I'm not going to be up here long. Just want to talk about some things and then we're going to move forward. Hey, come on in, say hello, wave, all of those great things. We're going to talk about seasons change, even in relationships, and what you should do. Seasons change, even in relationships. So again, like I said, I'm waiting for you all to join me. Hey, everybody. I see some people joining on. I appreciate it. But I'm going to go on and start this process. And you can always listen to the replay. So let's talk about this. Seasons change. You know what I mean? We always think about seasons changing, in our life, or seasons changing, even in the natural. We go through winter, spring, summer, and fall. But a lot of times we fail to acknowledge that even in relationships, regardless of how much you love each other and regardless of how long you've been in the dynamic, even relationships go through periods where seasons change. And a lot of that can contribute to the fact that, listen, we as people, we evolve, life happens, you know what I mean? We change. And because we change, a lot of times how we operate in our dynamic changes. But the thing I want to tell you more than anything, if you found yourself in a season and you're in a relationship, and we're talking about a long-term relationship, marriage, courtship, whatever it is, and it feels like there's been a change, that's not always a reason to leave the relationship or to throw it away. I think one of the first things you need to do is to identify what has caused the change. And that again comes down to being able to communicate with your partner and effectively communicate, not yelling, not whining, not being accusatory in the sense that you're accusing them of something, but to really sit down and just say, listen, things feel different. Things seem different. And even if you're the person on the receiving end of that conversation, you know what I mean? Just acknowledge a person's feelings and acknowledge their thoughts and just try to figure out, what factors are at play, what's caused the change. And once you can, to the very best of your ability, narrow down what may be causing the change, that's how you will know what you can do, to either adjust to the change, or if it's a situation where the seasons change and the relationship has lost its steam, or perhaps the relationship has lost some of its fire, then you can come up with ways to reignite that fire. Again, just because seasons change or you come into a different dynamic in your relationship is not a reason to throw the entire relationship away. Now, I will say this, but if the season has changed to the point that it has become something that is unhealthy and detrimental, then in that regard, I would suggest it's time to go. But just on a regular, everyday that you identify there's a change. And again, even if it's a change that you say, well, I'm not happy. Again, you first have to identify by having a conversation with your partner what has caused the change, right? Because you don't know what's going on in you may not know what's going on in the other person's life, what's going on in their mind. Even if you live with that person, you're married to that person, or you see that person every day, it is possible for people to have personal struggles that they keep on the inside, right? And sometimes because of that, it becomes a little consuming. And so, yes, they may be acting different in the relationship. But one of the things that you need to do when you identify and recognize that there has been a change or that there is some type of a change in your relationship is to communicate. You know what I mean? Don't just walk around and be miserable, and don't just suffer in silence. No, have a conversation, an adult conversation. That's why communication is so imperative in relationships. Communication is key to the success of a relationship, and being able to effectively communicate is everything, right? And then once you're able to communicate, then make the adjustments. Relationships are about change. Relationships are about commitment, but also there is a sense of compromise in relationships. And when I say compromise, I'm not talking about a compromise that is detrimental to you, but I'm talking about a compromise where you have to meet in the middle. Because you have to remember, even though you all may be in love and super like, and that's your boo, you are still individuals with individual mindsets, with individual experiences, right? And so you have to figure out that blending process. And a lot of times it's just hard. It's hard to blend personalities and relationships. But you should be okay, like I said, with making healthy compromises where you all can find a midpoint. You can find a happy median that everybody is happy. Now, let's be honest. No relationship is sunshine and roses 24/7, 365. Why? Because we are human. We're subject to error. We have issues. We get upset. You know what I mean? We go through changes. And it can be in those moments of changes that, things feel different. They acting different. They may be talking different, right? But again, remember, seasons change, even in relationships. But that's not the reason to abandon the mission. That's not a reason to abandon the relationship. Get in there, like I said, and I repeat myself because I want you to get this in your spirit in case you find yourself in this place and your relationship just doesn't seem to be the same, like something seems off or something feels off. One, acknowledge, yes, something is different. Two, communicate with each other so that you can find out what may be causing the change. Three, once you're able to narrow it down and find out what may be causing the change, then you do something about it if possible. And if it's something that you can really do something about, then be willing to make the necessary changes, right? It's a constant evolution. Just because we've been together 3, 4, 5, 25 years does not mean that our relationship stops growing. Just like you don't stop growing as an individual, right? We grow every day. We learn every day because we have new experiences. And it's depending on those experiences impact each of us differently. And so you have to understand that change occurs. Sometimes change is necessary. Right? Change is necessary. So figure it out. Make the adjustment. And if for whatever reason it's a dynamic or it's a situation that you feel like you cannot make an adjustment, that's a conversation you need to have. Communication is so key, and especially for us as ladies, like we can get that feeling, we can get that sense, and a lot of times men are not as forthcoming with their emotions. Men are not as forthcoming with their heart, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that they don't have a heart, and it doesn't mean that they don't have emotions. Perhaps that's just not the thing they're dwelling on, right? To even have a conversation about, right? He could be worried, he could be stressed out at his job. You know what I'm saying? If you're the woman and you're in this relationship with the man and your man feels like he's a little different or that things have changed, find out what's going on. He could be stressed out at his job. He could be worried about some things that are going on in your household, and not worried but concerned or thinking about things that are going on in your household and thinking about ways that he can make everything safe and secure for his family, right? And we do it all the time, ladies. Like, we just go off the deep end. You know what I mean? We're yelling, we're complaining, we're nagging, and we're whining. No. Have a calm conversation. Be able to effectively communicate. And then be able to also effectively listen. Right? Come on, we have to be more understanding. Relationships are about partnerships. Right? And being a partner, no matter what you're going through, and again, we're talking about as long as it's not detrimental, ain't nobody gonna go to jail or die, then listen, we're partners. We should be able to have a conversation. We should be able to hold each other down emotionally, spiritually, even financially sometimes. Listen, it happens. Let's just be honest about it. It happens. But it's a partnership. It's a partnership, and that means that you're not in it alone. And just like you change, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are not the same person that you were at the beginning of the relationship, especially if you date. You know how people start dating and they like dating from high school. They start out as high school sweethearts, but you like 15, 16 then. But then your 20s and your 30s and your 40s come. And those different experiences cause you to grow and evolve. At least, again, you should be growing and evolving. And those moments of growth and evolution can sometimes cause a change in your dynamic or the change in your relationship, because how you may deal with situations now is different than how you dealt with them when you were 16, right? So just remember that seasons change even in relationships, but that is not the end of the world, and it's not a reason to throw the relationship out, right? What you have to remember to do is communicate, narrow it down, figure out what the problem is. And once you've done that, then make the necessary adjustments to meet the change, right? And then go forward, move forward, right? The goal is to have healthy relationships, because love does not leave bruises. All right, y'all. It's been a pleasure. We'll talk later.